tight end, who would you rather? Because
can we just say tight end and offensive line? Because both these teams have really good offensive line, and
that's why I'm not comparing their offensive lines, because they're both good offensive lines.
See, I like San Fran's better though. I think they're meaner. I actually could compare.
I don't.
They look meaner.
Give us a breakdown then. I really don't have a comparison on their offensive line.
He's a monster. They have San Fran has 3 first-round draft picks on their offensive line. They built that offensive line. It's strong. It's mean. It's athletic. They have the rookie, not the rookie, I think a second-year tackle out of Rutgers on that team, so I'm a fan of that. Iupati, you have I love the tenaciousness that a whole offensive line plays with. And people might not know this, but they are the only team in the NFL that actually was able to have all of the same 5 guys start on their O-line since week 1 of the regular season. That they're the only team. And for somebody that's coached and played football, you know how important that kind of continuity between your offensive linemen really is, because those guys, the more they can talk with each other, the more they can communicate, the better they do their job. And I think that offensive line is a major factor in what they're doing in San Francisco. And then Baltimore, you got the blind side and Mr. Michael Orr, who actually got moved over to right tackle because he struggles way too much with speedy pass rushers. But yeah, you got Yonda in that offensive line, is the only one of the few offensive linemen that's been on the team for over 10 years. He's been on the Ravens for like 10, 11. I think this is 11th season with the Ravens. Both O-lines are tenacious. As a Cowboy fan, a guy that watched his offensive line struggle all year, you watch these 2 offensive lines and you almost get jealous. You really do, because of how well they play together and what they do for their team. You almost get jealous. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. I feel like both offensive lines at least deserve a little recognition. So on to the tight end position. Delaney Walker, Vernon Davis versus Mr. Pita. Oh, who's the other?
Dixon.
Thank you, Dixon. Pita and Dixon, Vernon Davis.
Now, see, the sexier option, like the more, option that, like, when you hear the name, you're like, ooh, Vernon Davis. So that's where I want to start. He, for whatever reason, has really fallen off. Hasn't had much catches, not really involved a lot in the offense. But the man has a lot of potential.
He's actually having a good little playoff run.
He's having a better playoff run than he had to end the regular season, I'll give you that, but he was rough. Especially if you played fantasy football, you owned him in fantasy, you hated him this year.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So, and Delaney Walker's a guy that a lot of people sleep on, but he makes some catches for that team. Kaepernick finds a way to get him the ball, I think, just as much as he does Vernon Davis.
Well, Vernon Davis so far in the postseason, 6 catches, 11 targets, 1 touchdown, 150 yards. Not bad, not good. I mean, in Green Bay, he had 1 catch for 44 yards on 5 targets, but then he goes nuts in Atlanta with 5 catches on 6 targets for 106 yards and a touchdown. So Kaepernick is trying to throw the guy the ball. I mean, 5 targets in your first playoff game, 6 in your second playoff game. But I do agree with you. I am somebody that owned him in fantasy and actually ended up trading him in fantasy because of his lack of production. But I actually like their other tight end just as much as
Delaney Walker. Yeah.
He's a
But you look at it and you can't sleep on a guy like Dennis Pita. Dennis Pita is a guy who gets a lot of red zone targets, makes a lot of big catches for Flacco over the middle.
Yeah, he does.
Personally, though, if it's my team and I got to pick between these 2 groups of guys, I got to go Delaney Walker and Vernon Davis. Even though at times I don't like Vernon Davis's attitude. And even at times I may not like his effort 100%. I still would rather have that potential for talent. I think he could do something if he get the ball in his hands.
You don't take too much away from Pita, man. He's got potential for talent.
I see Pita more as like a Heath Miller, though.
Which
He's
isn't
more-
a bad thing.
Which isn't a bad thing, but Vernon Davis is more like an Antonio Gates. More like a Jermichael Finley.
You just picked two very bad examples.
Why?
Gates hasn't done anything in like 3 years. And
No, but I'm
Jermichael
saying that
Finley
type of wide receiver.
So go with Jimmy Graham, Aaron Hernandez. I'm sorry, my bad. Those were just two bad examples to use. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think of those guys. I'm like, they suck this year. But either which way,
I see.
I
We're
agree
going
with
to
you,
agree to disagree there because I don't think those guys suck.
no, they sucked this year. That's what I just said.
Yeah,
They
but I'm
sucked
not.
this
I'm not
year.
necessarily saying that. He looks like Antonio Gates this year. Just saying Antonio Gates that he has talent to be a wide receiver type tight end.
Okay, my bad. Misheard you.
I don't think he's Jimmy Graham-esque because I think Jimmy Graham is literally a wide receiver playing tight end.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily consider him the Gronk because the Gronk is just beast.
The Gronk's a linebacker that can
But
catch.
that's why I think when Jermichael Finley's healthy, which is almost never, he's that type of guy for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And I think, it's the same with Gates or Rivers, even though Gates didn't have a good year this year.
Well, Gates is constantly getting injured as well. But so we both agree that we like San Francisco's tight ends better. I'm a big fan of Walker. I'm actually a big fan of Delaney Walker. I think that guy, he plays tough tight end football. I'm a big fan of that guy. And Vernon Davis gives you the athleticism and the speed. I gotta agree with you, man. That the San Francisco tight ends I like better than Baltimore's, but don't sleep on Mr. Pita. Mr. Pita has some playmaking abilities in him. That's for damn sure. So, like that. So I like San Fran's O-line, and I like San Fran's tight end better. Once again, I'm picking players and positions on the team that I don't think is going to win the game. Gotta love when you do that kind of stuff.